In a public opinion survey commissioned by KBLA Talk 1580 and conducted by Viteris, the black voters surveyed were highly enthusiastic about the March 2024 primary. The race for Los Angeles District Attorney is being hotly contested. Incumbent DA George Gascon's efforts to implement progressive criminal justice reforms have generated pushback from within his own office, the broader law enforcement community, and some in the general public. He was the subject of at least 2 failed attempts to qualify recalls. The concerns about crime are reflected in the polling results of black voters. Nearly 1 in 4 have been victims of violent crime or have someone close to them who has been a victim. 1 in 5 black voters have personally been victims of property crime in the last 2 years. A majority of respondents feel less safe than they did a year or 2 ago, but they reject the notion that criminal justice reform has gone too far. This year, black voters will be looking for candidates who speak to the complexity of the issues as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. Nearly half of black voters have an unfavorable view of DA Gascon, but his challengers are largely unknown. Nearly half of the black voters are also undecided, which means there's a clear opportunity for candidates to connect with black voters. Our poll makes 3 things abundantly clear. Black voters matter. Black voters are closely following this race, and the candidates for DA have a lot of work to do. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to the mobilization and use of the franchise to empower our audience to identify and pursue their interests in advancing equity, inclusive representation, and multiracial solidarity. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. We welcome your feedback.
Lexus, kinda clean, crease in my jeans. Ready to hit this, run everybody get with this. Is going down tonight, up in the town tonight. Rolling Vegas up Omega for the and I've seen Rolex on my wrist because I produce hits. Got them groupies having fits when I'm riding past. Tank full of gas, pocket full of cash. Side shows going down tonight. Made a right on 73rd and purchased some act ride. Bounce back in, crack that hint. I'm worldwide like a fifth of gin. And plus I'm in it to win. I'm checking your chin. AK down 77, my cousin Zay. Deep in the block, them deep east legends. There ain't no need to be stepping. We flow nining. Got them all rewinding. Now they all realizing. Low riding high side.
Keep it on the real. I swear. If you're real with me, I'll be real with you. Yeah. Big time screams and scratch your mind.
It be astounding. Formatic surrounding. Getting paint, drink down it off the sound, then you pounding. Lashy lounging, trying to get lit. I'm supposed to meet my folks at the club. A cutie eye, trying to get kicks, sneak to hear this bud. What would you do for the
Very West Coast. You know I gotta ask because I have no idea. Just that it's West Coast.
I'm very surprised, Jill. This your time. This your era.
40, right?
No.
No?
3X crazy. Keep it on the real.
Are they from the Bay?
I gotta double check that
3X crazy.
with a K.
3X crazy. It sounds familiar. I definitely knew it wasn't anything current. I was like, or it definitely
How you
sounds like a
figure?
late, because it definitely sounds like a late 90s thing with the bam, bam. You know, it sounds very West Coast, late 90s. The sample, the vote. It didn't sound like auto-tune. It definitely
Right.
sounded like the vocal box,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, 97. It, you know what it sounds like? It very much sounds like, and I bet it looks like they might have been a part of that or in that. Because their album cover I see looks very pen and pixel.
From the Bay, Oakland.
Right, but, you know, that's when Master P was out in the Bay doing his thing. Very much sounds like some Master P stuff from that time period, or No Limit.
Yo, the Bay really influenced a lot of hip hop, but don't really get that love like that. And I didn't even think about that until you mentioned that. I think Master P probably got that from them.
But think about the song, the way it goes. Doesn't that sound like one of those, you know,
How you
early
do that there?
All of that, just
Mm-hmm.
even the way the beat rides, like some of the early No Limit stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Cadillac music.
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
I'm with
That's
you.
what it sounds like to me. So shout out to you for digging in the crates and pulling that up straight to Game Records. Yep, no clue, but it does sound familiar. But it definitely felt like its era West Coast, Lolos and what have you. Welcome back into hour two of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So, of course, this is the show where we hit all the trending topics and headlines. Listen, we were talking a little sports last hour, and we're going to continue into that and some other things. One of the things that I wanted to mention, I know I briefly mentioned this the other night, that Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, and Luke Longley are going on the No Bull tour where they will address some of the inaccuracies, in their opinion, that were in The Last Dance, the ESPN documentary that aired in 2020 during the pandemic, the 10-part series. And, you know, Horace has said if you are familiar with him, if you know him, you know that he does not hold his tongue. So he said that he is going to be speaking the truth and that he is sure, you guys want to get your tickets or you'll have to hear about it later through social media.
I was listening to Brian Windhorst today on First Take,
Mhm.
and they talked about this situation. And Brian Windhorst talked about how, he worked with Scottie Pippen on ESPN, I believe, on The Jump with Rachel Nichols or whatnot. And he was basically saying, Scottie Pippen used to obviously tell stories behind the scenes, and he was definitely overwhelmed by a lot of the stuff that Scottie Pippen told him. So he was basically saying that this tour,
It could be the
if you tap in, if you watch, if you're a part of the tour, be prepared.
Here's the thing. I don't doubt that because even from the glimpses we saw, we know that Jordan had a life and enjoyed things that at the time might have felt a little illicit. Maybe they aren't as much now, but yes.
Do you think it's going to be messy?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think it's going to be messy because one, Scotty felt slighted in The Last Dance as well as these others. Two, I don't think that Scotty enjoyed at all how soft he came off, and he probably felt in some ways he was shielding some of the more harsh things he could have revealed about Jordan, maybe through the years. And then three, his wife is over there, ex-wife, excuse me, playing games, pulling stints
Horrible.
and shows.
Horrible.
So I'm sure he's going to drop some zingers.
He probably going to diss his son. He going to diss Michael Jordan's son.
You think he's going to diss his son?
If he going to be messy,
Here's
he's
the
definitely
thing.
going to talk about that situation.
Like there's a chance, right, that Larsa didn't interact with the child when they were a child, right? But Scotty, he high-fived him or something. They had some type of thing. Somebody's going to ask, and he's going to address it.
Yep.
It's probably difficult, though, because they still have a daughter that's in high school at Sierra Canyon.
Okay.
We know that Scotty Jr. is he in the NBA?
Yeah,
I
he
feel
played
like
for the Lakers.
No. He's not with the Lakers anymore. I feel like.
Hold on.
I feel like he's somewhere else. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's there anymore.
Let's see what we have here.
I mean, he's still in the league, but
You're right. He plays for the Grizzlies now.
okay, yeah. I was like, I don't think he's here anymore. So, I mean, but here's the thing, he's still in the league, so you got to think about your son too. And then I'm not sure.
His name doesn't hold that much weight, though. Anybody worried
about your other. I mean, how your son's gonna feel just because his name doesn't hold weight. You don't want somebody on the court like, yeah, I saw your mom. Like, do you know what I mean? Your daddy said your mama. I mean,
he was on the same team with Beasley.
yeah, I know.
So,
But I think he was in the G League when that went down. So they probably they were on the bench next to each other.
With the Lakers.
Terrible.
You know what I'm saying? So he already done felt
I
whatever.
thought he was on the South Bay Lakers when that happened.
He probably was on the South Bay Lakers, but they was on the bench right at the end.
Terrible.
Together. I wonder how that worked out.
That's too far. Too far. But, Larsa pulls stunt and shows. She and Marcus were like, gosh, if we aren't together, who's going to talk about us? Run it back, run it back. Listen, when we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. We're going to discuss Chilli and her commentary. Is she wrong, or are fans doing that fan thing that they do and getting to be too much? Plus, Nick Cannon and Ayanla Van Sant. Shout out to me. Eon. All right, I thought I had it right. Darn it. We'll try again on the other side, but they define what they believe is a deadbeat dad, and their definitions kind of differ from one another. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024 and beyond. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Well, we've had a lot of Chilli talk recently because we've had a lot of Usher talk. And of course, they were one of the favorite couples in the early 2000s. Their relationship was really brief when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, about 2 years, 20 years ago. But it was one of those ones that the public can't seem to let go of. Chilli is currently in a new relationship with Matthew Lawrence, and they were recently in Jamaica, and they post cute little videos where they're dancing with each other. You know the TikTok videos, you know the trends that we all see, the dance trends. Well, on a recent one, a person left a comment and she said, "Okay, Matthew, he got some chocolate now and he's got moves. I approve." Well, Chilli followed that comment up and addressed the woman and put caramel with the little laughing face and the emoji with the stars. And that seemed to upset and irritate some fans. And so the comments got deep and they got deeper on blogs. So here's one in particular that Chilli decided to respond to. It said, because people were complaining about her choice of Carmel. They felt like she was delusional and she doesn't recognize or love herself in thinking that she's caramel and not chocolate and she should embrace who she is. So someone responded with, right, it's almost like she didn't like being called chocolate, but she is chocolate and chocolate is beautiful. Never be ashamed of that. And Chilli responded and said, chocolate is beautiful. Also, never said it wasn't. But without a tan, I'm caramel. What's the harm in being truthful? Good grief. Andy,
Nah, I'm with Chili.
I'm with Chilli, but I think we're in a weird time as far as, we love, love, love our blackness, but we have started, and I'm not sure, we've always had, let me be clear before someone mistakes what I'm saying. We have always had the dark skin, light skin divide, okay? But it seems like in these last few years, there's been even more of a push to say biracials aren't black. We don't include them as black people.
It's a civil war, in my opinion, amongst the diaspora with black folk and
It
identity.
really is. And I understand, right, that for so long dark skinned women, brown skinned women have not been given the love that they are supposed to. But at the same time, I sometimes question how truthful that really is. And I've given some examples, right? Who have been the top female actresses over the past, black female actresses over the past 15 to 20 years? And are they light skinned? I'm going to go with no. Angela Bassett, Taraji's.
She's
If you
light
go to
skinned.
that, who?
Taraji.
Taraji's light skinned to you?
Yeah.
I think she's brown. Okay.
If you're not Hershey's chocolate brown, anything lighter than that, in my opinion, is light skin.
Okay. See, and I think that is why sometimes these conversations come up because
Yeah.
people want to, they call it safe brown.
Understood,
Or
yep.
they will start diving into the featureism conversation.
Mhm.
Well, yes, she's brown, but she has loose wave texture hair. She's brown, but she has European features, right? Which, again, I understand it, but sometimes I feel like we try to carve ourselves up in so many pieces when we could just be more comfortable being together. And I don't see anything wrong. Here's the thing: if Chili feels like she's caramel, right? And I understand what she has gold
Which
undertones
she
and
is.
so forth. She listen. I am lighter in the winter than I am in the summer.
High yellow.
When I'm out, I'm not high yellow. I'm always brown.
We know you
Sun-kissed.
brown, but you high
Okay.
yellow.
I am not high
You
yellow.
bright. When you come in, you light the room up. I'm just saying.
But see, I feel like I'm brown,
And that's
right?
okay. And I'm with you. I agree with you.
And
You
the
are
thing
brown.
with that. So, I just wonder why we are so quick to want to push people around and bully people around with that. I know representation is important, but like I said, the top actresses, when you look at it, brown skinned women, the women that have been like the heads and CEOs of companies or things of that nature in elevated positions, brown skinned women, Michelle Obama. Do you know what I mean? So when we have those conversations, I feel like what it is really about And what it really comes down to are those desirability things that we talk about and some of those other things. Again, not ignoring the problem, not saying that I don't see certain things. Like for years, people talked about the light skinned daughter on shows. And first I was like, not really. Then I was like, maybe, yeah, kind of, right? Yeah. So I do know that there are things, but then sometimes too, I feel like we let those things get too we focus too much on that when there's a bigger play there that could be talked about or should be focused on, I guess, for lack of a better.
And I know what the bigger play is, actually. If Chilli was still dating Usher or anybody of the melanated kingdom and she made that comment, it wouldn't have been no pushback. I think some people probably thinks that maybe, I don't want to go that far and say she was brainwashed or whatever, but there's possibly that influence of her partner for her to, specify, oh, I'm caramel.
Well, I'm gonna what they likened it to, because I read comments sometimes when these things just to kind of get a
section be
sense.
lit. I ain't gonna lie.
And what they were saying, they felt that Chilli was the type of woman, and this is a conversation I feel that happened a lot, especially with Gen Xers, right? Because heavily in that time, it was very much, oh, if you're light skinned, you did get some type of thing. There were very much those conversations. It was okay to.
PGP.
I'm talking about light skin on both sides. So there's no, you can't say PGP, and you're talking about guys too.
Okay, well then PMP then for them.
Yeah. But my point in saying that is just that there is a thought that women that benefited from that type of thing, perhaps, or anyone that is involved in that, automatically thinks they're better than the average brown skinned woman, or that and there was a time when there were some women, that whole trope didn't come out of nowhere, that there were some, the evil light skinned woman that didn't like dark skinned people, or said foul things. It didn't come out of nowhere. There definitely was people who subscribed to that and bought into that. And so a lot of people think that Chilli is one of those that thought that she was better because she had a loose curl pattern, or wanted to make sure to separate herself out and distinguish. Oh, well, I'm not black. I got Indian in my family. I'm not saying Chilli ever said that, but these are the type of things that people were connecting to her comment by saying, I'm not caramel. These are the silent things that they feel like goes along with that type of comment. Kendi in the chat says Taraji's not light skinned. Brother
She
Alfonso,
is.
Brother Alfonso says, do we really love our blackness? I'm not sure. I think it's a
A
complicated
lot
love
of us
affair.
don't. I mean, we
Say
came
it,
from trauma.
Andy.
I said a lot of us don't. We came from trauma. You know what I'm saying? We're still healing from that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some of us still are trying to figure out how to love our blackness because of all the trauma that we've been through.
I think, and I think that is a good point. I think that we have a lot, you know, I was born in the 70s. Bing, 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 bing. So to me, it was black is beautiful. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Afro Sheen commercials. There was never a question, from my parents, from what I saw of some of my friends in that way, how blackness was important and mattered and something special. But I also saw as time goes on, because of, and we've seen movies like Imitation of Life and things of that nature, where people felt that their skin color was a hindrance for them, so much so that they try to skirt around it in whatever way that they can. So again, nobody is ignorant to those type of scenarios and situations happening, but sometimes it just feels like now, sometimes it's like a checklist of things you must say or do in order for people to feel comfortable that you are rooted in your blackness. And if some things feel a little performative, and I wish that we could get more comfortable. It feels like a walk back in some ways, that there are different types of blackness.
do you think that maybe there's some self-hate going on with Chilli? For her to correct instead of just letting it go by?
You know, that's an interesting question. I point out the era of Gen X and some of the things that were highlighted and pushed out and made to be important. And so currently today in 2024, I don't know how Chilli feels, and I'm not saying that I ever did, but it is not outside of the realm of possibility that at one point she didn't feel like, oh, because, my skin is a little redder, or, people were probably always like, girl, you got some pretty hair. Girl, your hair is not, I wish I had your curls. Then maybe sometimes you hear that and like, oh, they wish they had my curls. So my curls must be something special. Do you know what I mean? So is it possible that that became an automatic, someone else that is accused of something like that too, or having that type of entitlement about their complexion is, I've seen people refer to Lisa Ray in that manner too. I'm not throwing, anybody under the bus or throwing names out there. I think that just with certain eras, there are certain earmarks or things that kind of became a part of the culture or the thought process. And sometimes I think people don't even realize it because they've gotten so used to just saying it or it being a part of it. So suffice it to say, I don't know. I want to take her at her word that she's just like, this is what I feel I am and there's no big deal. But it might be a little bit of that there. As long as she's not shading or saying crazy stuff, then, I'm going to let her cook. It is what it is. Kendi says, but I agree with Chilli. Beyonce herself made up a song carving up black identity, and it was applauded. Remember Brown Skin Girl? Brown Skin Girl was not carving up identity. I think that, one, come on, it was for the Lion King soundtrack that's based in Africa. But two, I think that, too, we have to not ignore the fact, especially not so much in acting and some of the other things, but when it comes to music, they really do push the light-skinned woman forward, I would say, more so sometimes than the brown skin. But at the same time, I think Beyonce doing that is acknowledging and hearing her fan base too. I didn't think it was anything wrong with that.
I'm low-key surprised there wasn't a hoopla about her naming the song Brown Skin Girl as opposed to blacks. There was? Okay.
I think that there was, but I think because, again, Black Girl Magic, we feel good, we feel seen. So if you pop off about that, you're going to get popped off back because what's really your problem with her making a song called Brown Skin Girl? You know what I'm saying? Now, if she made a song called Red Bone B, it would be a problem for somebody, I'm sure. Listen, when we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to hit the hot tubs of the telly, got my groove on. The twisted line blended right, Remy XO in my Lexo, what the light 3D. Crazy till I die on my mind, trick a nigga with I need a 20 cents. You know that line on time, with proper precision. The pimp living Kenneth Coles with my bankroll, knee deep in my linen right beside 3 times. Putting it down for the 9-6, bumping down with my 6 or your sidekick. So ride this West Coast to your
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. The judge in former President Trump's civil fraud case is denying a request from Trump's legal team to delay the enforcement of penalties. The defense team asked for a delay of 30 days to allow for what they call an orderly post-judgment process. In an email posted to the court docket, the judge said Trump's team failed to explain, much less justify, any basis for a stay, adding that he was confident the appellate division would protect his rights. Trump was ordered to pay a $355 million fine plus interest. New York Attorney General Letitia James, who is Black, says she'll go after Trump's assets if he can't come up with the money. It looks like Olympic champion gymnast Gabby Douglas won't be making her return to competition just yet. Douglas, who was black, was set to compete at the Winter Cup in Louisville on Saturday, but she withdrew from the competition due to a positive COVID test. Douglas last competed at the 2016 Rio Olympics, where she was on the gold medal winning team. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Can't wait weeks for your tax refund? Then don't. At Jackson Hewitt, get money today if you're approved for a no-fee refund advance loan on a prepaid card. Book today at jacksonhewitt.com. No-fee refund advance offered to eligible clients. Application required. Loans by Republic Bank. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte with the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial. In a public opinion survey commissioned by KBLA Talk 1580 and conducted by Vitterus, the black voters surveyed were highly enthusiastic about the March 2024 primary. The race for Los Angeles District Attorney is being hotly contested. Incumbent DA George Gascon's efforts to implement progressive criminal justice reforms have generated pushback from within his own office, the broader law enforcement community, and some in the general public. He was the subject of at least 2 failed attempts to qualify recalls. The concerns about crime are reflected in the polling results of black voters. Nearly 1 in 4 have been victims of violent crime or have someone close to them who has been a victim. 1 in 5 black voters have personally been victims of property crime in the last 2 years. A majority of respondents feel less safe than they did a year or 2 ago, but they reject the notion that criminal justice reform has gone too far. This year, black voters will be looking for candidates who speak to the complexity of the issues as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. Nearly half of black voters have an unfavorable view of DA Gascon, but his challengers are largely unknown. Nearly half of the black voters are also undecided, which means there's a clear opportunity for candidates to connect with black voters. Our poll makes 3 things abundantly clear. Black voters matter. Black voters are closely following this race, and the candidates for DA have a lot of work to do. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to the mobilization and use of the franchise to empower our audience to identify and pursue their interests in advancing equity, inclusive representation, and multiracial solidarity. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. We welcome your feedback.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit LAFLA.org. LAFLA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Listen up, City of Los Angeles renters that live in rent-controlled units. Landlords can now increase your rent by 4%. Know these 3 facts. The rent increase is allowed February 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024. An extra 1% per utility up to 6% can be added if the landlord pays the entire gas and electric bill. And illegal rent increase complaints can be filed at housing.lacity.org. Check if you live in a rent-controlled unit and learn more at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Every little thing that we do should be between me and you. The freaky things that we do is be between me and you. 'Cause every little thing that we do should be between me and you. The freaky things that we do is keep between me and you.
Yo, now when I first met her, all I thought was dog. Like lose a lane, we can get out, freak it on. Baby, know the game, slip away, slap me your number. It's the last day of spring, see you first day of summer. I'm a bad mother, shut your mouth. Pull a drop out, creep at a low speed. His homie probably know me. I push the pedal, thoughts of your stiletto, way up in the air like I think he said. 'Cause see, every time that I'm alone with you, homie be checking up on you. But if that only knew, you got a lot of freaking you, baby. When that's starting to rain, I pop the roof and the
Welcome back
champagne.
in to hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Shout out to Ja Rule and Ashanti. It was what? Oh, that was Christina Milian. Okay, my bad. One of them. The thing that I was leading up to was Ja Rule really should have been in did a duet album with a female singer or something like that. Because you think about Lil Mo, Ashanti, J-Lo, Christina, Mary. He had a lot of pairings with female artists and they just worked. And we haven't really seen anything like that. I think that would have been a cute little thing. Andy?
Drake before Drake.
Absolutely. We talked about that, how Ja Rule, 50 Cent killed him for that, but Ja Rule was singing and harmonizing on tracks in the rap singy way and little bit of emotional thing, with the girls and all of the things. Don't worry about what I do. He just said, I got a wife. Let's keep this thing tight, baby. Yeah. So shout out to Ja, Mr. MTV himself back in the day, I feel like. So before we came forward, we were talking about, brown skin debating and the division that seems to be happening as far as sometimes I wonder if in the comments, if it's bots that have been trained. I know that there are some, but if the majority of these comments with the separation is just like, okay, we picked up the language. We know that this will get a conversation. This is easily duplicated and will sow more seeds of discontent within the culture and community over there and keep them battling. Because I'm like, again, not that it hasn't always been a topic or a subject or something for debate, but seemingly the way that it is now, it's just like, nope, they're light skinned. They can't understand. They can't relate to the struggle. And I'm like, that's crazy. It really is. Although, again, not disregarding the other things, I just feel like, why are we focusing so hard on that one thing? I get it that there has been, again, for a long time, overlooked, ignored, especially when it comes to women and their feelings, but we are much greater when we embrace each other. So Kendi in the chat says the ironic, why can't I talk tonight? I don't know. The ironic thing about Beyonce and that song, excuse me, is that what's gone unreported is the hate Beyonce got from black women for having long straight hair. That's why our hair care launch flopped. It just came out today. How can we say that it flopped? Let's not do that. It has not flopped yet. It just launched. Like, give it some time. One, Beyonce does have long hair. But what is also true is, as a performer, there's lots of women who perform for a living that too have long hair. You know why? Because they're braiding it up, they're wearing protective styles. So it's not dealing with the day to day of a flat iron and the styling tools. So it has time to rest and grow. Right? So, yeah, there is some hate. People will debate. No, she has tracks in. No, that's a weave. Da, 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 da. But there are still very much some dedicated Beehive members and outside that are going to be interested to see what the product offerings are. So let's slow down on calling it a flop. Like, it literally hasn't even been 24 hours yet. We just got to relax and see what happens. Can we at least give it a week? Can we? I think we can. Kendi also says, you notice the launch didn't trend at all. If you got to all the old Destiny's Child videos on YouTube, the comments are full of complaints about how Beyonce is only successful because she's light. There will always be a segment of people that will disparage the work someone puts in, whether it's because, oh, they're light skinned, oh, she has European features, oh, this, that, or the other. There's always going to be something like that. Sure. But people have been saying this for Beyonce's whole career. And we're in the 25th anniversary of Destiny's Child. Still don't know what's coming with that, but we know something is probably coming. She's still doing incredible things. So I think that a lot of people, especially in the social media era, want to hate watch. They watch things to complain. They want to, I read this study, and I think that we've talked about this before on the air. On one hand, I feel like if you don't believe in at least one or two conspiracy theories, something's wrong. Because you got to know that there's cricket stuff in the world. People move, with a nefarious intent. Like, you got to know that. On the other hand, if you believe everything is a conspiracy theory, this can't move because of the Illuminati, and everything is a plot, a scheme, then I'm going to question you. And there was a study done that said that people that buy more into conspiracy theories or things like that are more likely to be less educated, less well-read, and not doing as successful in life as maybe their peers.
And I push back on that.
You going to push back on that?
Yeah. They're probably more woke and more educated, because I think a lot of people just look at things at surface value. There's a lot of things that go behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? When people talk, are you listening between the lines?
Facts.
You feel me? You know what I'm saying? We over here, it's election year. And what do we cry for our politicians? We want more transparency. But there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes. There's a world going on that you don't even see from, right? We're all on Wi-Fi right now, right?
Correct.
Can we see those waves?
Correct.
There's a lot going on that we can't see.
No, and here's the thing. I agree with you 100%. That's why I prefaced it with, if you don't believe in some, I'm going to look at you funny. I'm not like, because, and that is why I started with that. However, by that same token, if you blame everything on the conspiracy theory, the Illuminati, the man, the aliens, that I'm going to have questions about too, because there are obstacles thrown in a lot of people's way. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm sure there was an obstacle to you getting here today to KBLA. Do you know what I'm saying? But you overcame and you figured it out. And I think sometimes we can't let those things stop us. And there is a certain group of people who, which is what the study was talking about, need an excuse for their lack of forward motion.
It's funny because as you're speaking, it got me thinking about the victim mentality.
Yes.
And I think you can make the case that, there's people who always complain, oh, well, it's a systemic issue, and that's the reason why this, that, and the third. So, conspiracy, systemic, sounds like stop being a victim and find a way. Easier said than done.
Much easier
but
said
find
than
a
done.
way instead of complaining all the time that this is the reason why you're not where you're at.
And I feel like I completely feel that. Again, acknowledging, seeing, been a victim of, all of the above. But at the same time, at some point, you got to make a choice on what you're going to do next. You may not like the choices available to you, but you do have a choice. And so again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying if you believe in conspiracy theories in general or if you believe in one, because it's healthy. You got to know that people are always trying to do a sleight of hand, manipulate, move around, but everything cannot be the cause of that. There are things that you can do to move yourself around, to move yourself ahead. And that is why it is important to read and educate yourself or whatever. Listen, when we come forward, speaking of reading, I'll tell you about something that Google is doing to your search that could really impact you in the future as things continue to move ahead and move around. We'll get into all of that plus more trending topics on the other side. You were locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
We're not just a thermometer recording and broadcasting popular opinion. We aim to be a thermostat, transforming the conversation about climate justice in our community. This is KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So Google as a homepage, sometimes they experiment with stuff, move things around, try things out, product development. Well, recently, some users raised concern because they noticed that the news tab on Google has disappeared. It's missing. So Google confirmed that they are testing some things out, and that was one of them, removing the tab. It is of concern to people because as we continue with the media layoffs and the shed and more AI-dominated content is coming, at least from news organizations, people are concerned about will they be getting their news from real individuals, and will they be able to even access that news as Google controls the algorithm and what is pushed up, what is displayed. So just a little bit on the test. Don't know how much longer it will be running or if it is something that will become permanent. As I said, they test things all the time as it relates to their product and search, but is that something that is concerning for you? Of course, we're going to talk about more AI topics next hour, but Andy?
Conspiracy.
What's the conspiracy for that one?
They don't want you to be aware of what's going on. You want to take the news tab away? Come on now.
What reason?
I need to be informed of what's going on in the world, but y'all want to take that away from me.
Right.
Conspiracy.
I do wonder what possible reason and justification they could have. Part of what they're saying, again, is in reference to, they're going to be generating more AI related summaries as it comes to some headlines and things of that nature. And they feel it will be more efficient. But we know there's been problems with AI as far as it getting stupider as it's gone on, making up phantom facts and things of that nature. But again, we'll get more into that conversation when we get into hour 3. Now, before we do, let's listen to Nick Cannon and I'm going to say it wrong again. Jan. That's what I said. What did I say? I said, I did.
You said I, Yanla.
Okay.
E. The I is E. Yanla. Easy. E. Yanla.
I feel like I said Yanla.
Go ahead, say it. Go ahead, say it. Say her name.
I just said Yanla.
Thank you.
Okay.
You did
but
great.
I feel like I said it right the first time and tripped myself up.
This is for you.
Apologies, Miss Vincent. I do not mean to jack up your name. I understand your name is your name. Even when it's not your name, it's your name. So let's listen to and Nick Cannon discuss what they feel are the qualities or the qualifications of a deadbeat dad.
The first term I want to bring up is a deadbeat dad.
I don't think a father is deadbeat if he's not allowed to be in relationship with his children. But if he has the capacity, if he has the ability, and he has the responsibility, and he doesn't, too many of our young girls are, ravishing themselves with drugs and sex and all kinds because daddy never tucked them in at night. So for me, a deadbeat dad is a man who doesn't provide for his seed when he has the responsibility to do. A man who doesn't walk in his truth. I don't care if he's a bus driver, a grave digger. Let your children know who you are through your presence, not through your pocket.
So I would love to hear Nick's response to that. I'm sure we will eventually, because we know that Nick is not able to be present with all, is it 11 of his kids he currently has now? 11, 12, something like that. But I do think it is important because there are often conversations when it's around women and all of these things. And they're like, she just wants child support. Often forgetting that showing up is sometimes half the battle. Not all the battle, Of course, there's still going to be women that need and require, and those children, those funds, but being an active and present parent goes a long way to, obviously a child's development. So I wonder, we've heard Nick mention how he knows that he's being the best parent that he believes he can be, but he knows that there are some children, some of his children, I should say, that will suffer from his absence. I wonder if he's done, though. I hope he's done. I know it's not my place. I know he can afford it. But I do hope he's done. I wonder if he's starting to think about it. Like, if the reality of having so many children so close in age and because each one of them is going to need different things. He obviously lost one of his children. So I just wonder how he's feeling about this at this current juncture, and if it's something that he'll ever honestly address. Because I think that even if he did start feeling maybe this wasn't the best idea, how do you say that? Because the children are here and they will hear it and might hurt their feelings. And then too, it's not like he didn't hear a bunch of "I told you so's" from people. So if he tried to walk it back, I'm sure someone would be there to throw it up in his face, as we love to do. But we like Nick. Shouts out to Nick, hopefully. And I don't want to hear from Nick's kids in 20 years writing their tell-all books about how daddy wasn't there for us. I hope that he, has money for therapy for them too, in case that comes up, so that we don't get that in 15 years, those different things, because it can happen. Definitely can happen. When we come forward, we're going to get into the AI story with Tyler Perry, because we know Tyler is looked at as, one of our blueprints for the future as far as ownership and TV and film entertainment and what have you. So what exactly did he see or take note of that has him putting a pause on a 4-year plan, $800 million expansion for new studio space? And now he's like, gotta look at this again, gotta re-examine this. So we're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about Damon Dash. A court has ordered him to sell his shares of Rockefeller. And there were some objections to that ruling. We'll get into who and what might become of that outcome, because there's a lot of IP there. Where's it going to go? We'll get into that, plus more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Girl, it's on again. Every year we home and remain. These houses, folks, friends, and when the day ends, that's when it all begins. You with him is my room key. Holla at me while you think I'ma hit it up. Then look at the you thinking you love. Come on, love, we could go there. Me and you creep off all night. If you love it, in the morning awake with new lies. If you're looking like how he gon' handle his, let me handle my biz. It is what it is. Living is